Warning, we are not trained or licensed professionals. Do not take any advice that we give as official doctoral prescribed medical treatment. We only use the name as a means to appreciate cinema as a therapeutic device, not to be confused with drugs, antidepressants, or any other forms of enhancements that you might find in legal states. Please enjoy responsibly.
Additional disclaimer. If the film says we can say it too. So check the film rating, and that will be our episode rating.
So on Instagram, we got a message on our account from an account called Propel Forward, and it is our friend Connor's YouTube channel. He gave us a shout out. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Connor.
Hope you're doing well, bud.
Yeah, I'm checking out your channel right now. It looks really cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
Propel Forward on YouTube if anyone wants to check it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so welcome to Film Therapy. Mm-hmm. I am one of the co-hosts. I am joined by my other co-host, as always.
Hello, I'm Madison.
This week, we watched a movie called 12 Angry Men, which Madison had never seen, which surprised me. But I'm not saying that in the judgy way. I'm just saying that because I forgot. We took the same class, but I forgot we had different teachers. So that was the part I forgot. But Davis was in the class with me, so I know he's seen it. So shout out to you, Davis. You're still extreme.
Hey, Davis.
So,
Yes.
Maddie, since you had not seen this movie, I'd like you to go first. I want to know what you thought of this movie and if there's anything specific you would like to start us off with.
Well, I was surprised by how much I liked it and how enthralled I was right from the beginning. It didn't seem like the time went by really fast watching it, and it hooked you right from the beginning, and I was on the edge of my seat most of the time. Not literally, because I was a little tired, but mentally I was on the edge of my seat. When you said it's like dialogue driven, it's about a bunch of men in a jury debate room, I'm like, oh, I don't know. But then you're like, you really love it. So I'm like, why do you love this movie? So I was intrigued. And now I can see why. I don't know. It's really good. So yeah, you said you saw it in class. I had never seen it, or it was never required by one of my teachers. But is it on the list of... Okay, so AFI's 100 movies, the American Film Institute, is it on there? Let's see.
Not such a fun fact. The original Star Wars is technically not part of the registry because they wanted a print of the theatrical release, and George Lucas would not give them that. So, yeah, thanks, George.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, he's very adamant, and fans are adamant the other way. It's one of the times that Star Wars fans are absolutely right. That's like one of the very few times. So you know it's a legit thing. All the fans agree that the original theatrical version should be widely released.
Wow.
So as toxic as the fandom is, that's like the thing that unites everybody. And it doesn't make any sense either, because it'd make a shit ton of money, especially Disney, because they love money. So
right?
It's stupid. But shout out to Harmy for basically doing what they should have done with the despecialized editions, but that's a whole other topic. We could do a whole episode on that, which we might sometime. You never know.
So 12 Angry Men is not on the AFI's list of 100 movies.
I am surprised. Honestly,
Greatest
I'm really
movies
surprised.
of all time. Greatest American movies of all time. That's what the list is, yes.
I know that Casablanca's probably on there. Gone with the Wind
number
is
2.
on there.
Yep,
is
number
Gone
4.
with the Wind number 4? Wizard of Oz.
Number 6.
Godfather.
Number 3.
Citizen Kane.
Number 1.
I don't agree with that, but...
I don't either.
I've seen Citizen Kane twice, maybe 3 times, and it's just not a movie I really care for.
I don't find it... I mean, I found this movie a lot more...
Engaging?
Yes, engaging than Citizen Kane. I mean... maybe I just don't have a thing for, and I've said this before, for like sob stories or
biographies.
Or
not
what?
biographies. Like a biopic, is that the word?
Kind of like that, or like tales that go on through someone's whole entire life.
Life stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. But honestly, like, Citizen Kane is I know we're talking about 12 Angry Men. We will get to 12 Angry Men because there's a lot to unpack there. But Citizen Kane is a movie that I really, in a way, I respect it as an academic experience, but I also hate it because I only see it as an academic experience, and the fact that it's like shoved down your throat just makes me not want to like it. But I had seen it in high school before going to film school, and I still was just like, I just don't see why that's hailed as so great. But I watched it like the same weekend as Casablanca, which is incredible. Maybe that was it. And then I watched it again in film school, and I had the same reaction where I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's got a lot of great filmmaking techniques, but you know what else has a lot of great filmmaking techniques that pioneered? King Kong and Wizard of Oz. And both those movies are miles better than Citizen Kane. So also King Kong, also both of those were before Citizen Kane. So
I'm trying to see if King Kong is number 43. That was in 1933. Dang.
Good movie.
I mean, it's a great movie to look at film school, for sure. It's a good way to explain a lot of techniques, lighting, camera shots, and that's great. We learned a lot from it, but I just don't really enjoy the story that much, I guess.
I feel very similar. So from Citizen Kane to 12 Angry Men, we're jumping ahead at least 15 years. Do you have anything specific that you'd like to discuss? Because I have a few things, but if you have any.
When did it come out? 57?
57, yeah, 1957.
57, directed by
Sidney Lumet, who also directed Dog Day Afternoon, which is also not as good, but very good.
Okay.
It's Al Pacino robbing a bank. It's really tense. It's really good.
Is that a movie where it all takes place like in real time too?
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Yeah, his ability to do real time movies is just great.
It sounds like that one I watched
Before Sunset
with
that's also in real time.
Yes, I guess I like that. I prefer that much better than a long story about that takes place over several years. Like 1917.
I did not see that. I heard it was really good though.
Oh, so good. But anyway, yes. So, starring Henry Fonda. Is he married to Jane Fonda?
No, they're father and daughter.
Oh, that's her dad?
Yeah, because there's a movie called On Golden Pond where they play father and daughter, and that's who they are in real life. That's also a great movie if you haven't seen it.
My mom and I have been trying to watch that, and that's on the list of 100 movies.
Yeah, it's great. Henry Fonda's performance, it's like either this or that. They're both just as good. And that was in the 1981, and it's when he was much older in age, but he still has the same amount of acting talent. Dare I say even more.
Nice.
It's basically him and I think it's Katharine Hepburn, I believe, is the wife. They're this old couple, and they go to their cabin, and then Jane Fonda's their daughter, and she pops in every now and then, and it just has that like feeling of like, man, this is like a vacation movie. Like I just want to go to where they're at and take a vacation, and it's like a little like slice of life, kind of like. So it's almost like The Great Outdoors and Lost in Translation mashed together, but like in the right way, not like in a way. It's like in a good way for tone purposes.
Yeah. First thing I wanted to mention is the towel thing in the bathroom.
I was going to also bring that up.
Yes. I felt like it was prominently displayed, but also we probably notice it because, one, we don't use those, and two, we're in a pandemic, and that is extremely disgusting to use a reusable towel on a strip that just goes through a dispenser in a public bathroom. Have you ever used one before?
I have. I saw one before, I used it, and then after I used it, I'm like, wait, that's reusable. And then I don't know how old I was, so I probably didn't freak out like I would now. So I've seen it in person before. It's just as strange as an anomaly as it is in this movie. Yeah,
but the bowling alley in my hometown had it.
That's where I think I saw it, was the bowling alley.
A bowling alley? Weird.
It might have been, yeah. Hey, bowling alleys, why do you have that?
Bowling alleys are weird.
They're weird.
Yeah. They've got people wearing each other's shoes and reusable towels. It's not a good place.
Hey, you want to go bowling?
Let's go bowling. It sounds great.
Let's go bowling. Sounds fun.
I do love bowling, but not when I think about it.
Yeah, bowling is really fun, but you can't. Yeah. Also, the bowling balls are reused too.
Yeah, all the finger holes.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. I don't know if I could ever go bowling again.
Like, I wonder what they would do for bowling now. you have the finger holes in the ball, like you said, so you can't, like, how would you keep that,
I'm sure
sanitized?
some bowling alleys are open right now.
Let's find one. Speaking of bowling, there's a movie called Kingpin with Woody Harrelson.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Bill Murray's in it too for a cameo.
That's a thing.
Yeah, it's a thing. It exists.
Nice.
Another bowling movie. There's a bowling scene in what is it? Grease 2, which I haven't seen in eons.
The Big Lebowski.
Big Lebowski, duh. I knew there was a major one I was forgetting, and I'm like, if I don't say it, I'm gonna feel really stupid. Okay, so 12 Angry Men.
Okay, yeah. So you said at the beginning, it was like you're like, watch this shot. It's like 5 or 6 minutes long, and you'll notice the cut when it's over, and I'll tell you when it's over, And it was awesome. It was like, it starts off. Oh yeah, I forgot to recap.
You kind of did recap though.
I guess. So it starts off with the jury and the judge and the defendant in a courtroom, and the judge is telling the jury that they have to go. What's the word?
Vote or
deliberate is the word. The jury has to deliberate the verdict. So the jury has to go decide whether the defendant is guilty or not guilty for a first-degree murder charge. The defendant is 18, and I don't know what ethnicity he is, but it's definitely not white because they're extremely racist towards him. So they go into the room. They all take a preliminary vote, and it turns out that 11 think he is guilty and 1 person thinks he's not guilty. And mostly the guys just want to get out of there and get on with their night. But the one guy is like, well, this is a person's life. Oh yeah, so it has to be unanimous, one thing. And if it's unanimous voting guilty, he's sentenced to death. So that's the whole stakes here. They don't have any names. They just call it, they're just jurors 1 through 12 are their character names, which I like. I think that's really cool. Even though you can kind of guess their names. I don't know. Well, that one guy certainly looked like a Jack to me. His name was Jack.
That was the actor's name.
Yeah, the actor's name was Jack.
There were multiple Jacks. Are you talking about the dude with the hat?
Yeah, not the dude with the hat, but the quiet guy.
Oh, I was gonna say the guy with the hat. He juror 7, I believe. He reminds me of what's his name in Batman? The reporter guy. Do you remember that? Do you remember watching that?
What Batman?
The one we watched with Michael Keaton.
Mm-mm.
So the guy that works with Vicky Vale at the newspaper. Remember that guy?
Mm-mm.
No? Okay.
It's interesting because recently I have been, kind of, in the last year I've been getting into true crime. There's this one channel on YouTube I like to watch, but then it got to be too much for me, so I'm taking a break anyway. But it's just like they talk about this stuff all the time, like the jury's outcomes and everything, and you kind of just take it for granted. You're like, oh, the jury ruled this, the jury ruled that, but you never really get to see inside a jury room. And I don't really watch any court shows or anything. I'm sure they do it on those shows, but for me it was just interesting to get a view on that side of the whole procedure. And I've kind of wanted to go to jury duty, but I know it obviously wouldn't be as thrilling as this case. Most likely.
Same.
It would probably be some sort of tax fraud or something, and I'd be like, I don't know.
I have no idea. What do I vote?
I'd be that guy. I'm like, I don't know. I got tickets to the ball game, so I'm leaving. Just whatever everyone else thinks. I'll just vote that. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But that's bad because they obviously make that a point in this movie that if you are a sheep and you just vote along with everybody else, that doesn't get you anywhere. Yeah. And that goes along with the whole politics of today, especially during this recent election, where people just blindly vote because of a party preference or something like that, and they're not questioning it. Like what that guy said. He said,
Maddie, they're all guys. Which guy? They're all men, hence the title.
He goes, I think it was Nope, I have no idea. But he goes like, I don't know if he's guilty or not. I'm just asking questions. That I think is like a really important quote, because we do need to ask questions and we need to learn for ourselves what the right thing to do is. And in this case, it was whether or not to kill an 18-year-old, even though he may or may not have killed someone else. So they had reasonable evidence, like an eyewitness to the murder. He murdered his own father with a switchblade knife. So they had a woman across the street who seemed to have seen the act. Then we had the downstairs neighbor who seemed to have heard the act and then saw the boy running downstairs. But the one guy who voted not guilty tries to get up and explain, well, what if this happened? Maybe this happened. What if this happened? Oh my God, my brain. So the old man below, he had a stroke and he walks with a limp and drags his leg behind him. And he claimed that within 15 seconds, he went from his bedroom window to the front door and opened the door and looked down the hall and saw the kid, the defendant, running down the stairs, running away from the murder scene. Mm-hmm. So they timed it all out in the room. They kind of made up a scenario, and the guy dragged his leg behind him, and it took him about 41 seconds. And so it's not proving anything, but it's saying, well, maybe he made it up to get attention because he's lonely, because he was an older dude. And so that put reasonable doubt in other people's minds, which is all you need to say, have a not guilty vote. Mm-hmm. And I think that really, like, hit it home. I hope, like, I kind of wish everyone could see this movie and just understand the points of an argument and what it means to argue, not to just be right, but to be reasonable.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, exactly. I've heard, like, there's, obviously for film school, but even for, like history classes, I've heard there's, like, teachers that show this movie in, like debate classes and that kind of thing. And I think it's almost, not to make it sound more boring to young people, because, you know, it's a black and white movie with no big explosions, but, right. But it's almost a movie that's, like, required viewing if you want to be in any kind of debate type situation, whether it's, you know, as a jury or for an election, or even just between your family members to go get Chipotle, you know, like, it just has that, it drawn from real experience here.
No, but, you know, that makes sense. I feel like it's important, and it's a
very important
educational movie.
Yeah, but it's the best damn educational movie I ever saw.
Yeah.
Clearly the movie's presenting Henry Fonda as the hero, which it should, but it also gives room to all the characters and for why they agree and disagree. And I think it shows, for the most part, a really respectful way to have a debate and to have those disagreements. And I think that's why it's such, in a way, mandatory educational viewing. And
it's accurate portrayal of just so many different types of people, too.
Yeah, easily.
Like the different types of people you could get in an argument with. I mean, not necessarily race or gender, obviously, but just like the different personality types of people, where you have the guy who's just screaming and saying, "You're wrong, look at the facts." Trump. And
you can't prove it.
And then you have the guy who is just like, I'm not going to say anything. And then you have a lot of the people who are in the middle, where they're swayed one way or the other based on what other people are saying, and they're making their own judgment based on that.
Mm-hmm. And then you have, like, the foreman whose job it is to keep the group in line, in order as best he can, kind of thing.
Yeah, right.
Which is hard to do when you have all those personality types, but he does it pretty well.
Yeah.
And then you have the really prejudiced person who just cannot see past it for the longest time.
Yeah.
Although he does eventually, so.
He did. Why do you think he had a cold? Because his mind is ill. He's a sick person.
Yeah, that's absolutely what it is. I also think that when your throat isn't clear and you need to express something, it'll find its way out. And I think that he needed to go through his rant about how, without realizing how prejudiced he is, he has that really long rant when everyone kind of turns away and goes to the other side of the room and doesn't face him. And then when he's clearing that, that's like him clearing that out, and that's why he doesn't cough after it.
Oh, shit.
I don't know if that makes any sense.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, I've been called for jury duty before, and then it ended up getting canceled, so.
Oh, man.
Which is a good thing, because I think I had school, but on that day.
Yeah, I feel like that happened to me too, but.
If it was like this movie, not saying I would go into it with like, oh, this is going to be fun, it's going to be like Henry Fonda, but being able to get that experience in real life would almost give me like a new appreciation for the movie, even though I have like a deep love for it already, you know, having the real life experience, I guess. And the reverse is also true. Like, having seen this movie, it gives me this is what it could be like, almost like a preparation in a way.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so you mentioned the opening shot being 6-7 minutes or whatever, which is incredible that they did that. And then with the camera angles too, it starts looking down at Henry Fonda's character, and then throughout it goes from at his level to like under him as he gets more people convinced on his side. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. And the lighting is really interesting, and that changes throughout too, based on kind of what side they're on. I mean, you can tell that it's, probably they built the set just to be able to do all these crazy camera angles and stuff, because it's hard to film something when people are sitting around a table.
Yeah.
But they do get up and walk around a lot, which made me anxious. I was like, just sit down. It was like Catholic Mass up in there. It was just like standing, walking around. They had lots of good close-ups too, I thought. One really cracked me up with that when they went close up on the older guy.
Yes.
They call him the old man.
Yes.
His eyes are always like so wide, and it looks very weird. He was like straight on in a couple shots. I'm like, whoa.
Yes, exactly. I felt the same way. When he changes, spoilers by the way, we spoil every movie we talk about, so you should know that by now. But when he changes his vote to not guilty, and then the second juror, Lee J. Cobb's character, is like, well, then who did change the vote? And then the old man's like, it was me, I did it. And the shot's like straight on him, and it's like extreme close-up. It's very, very off-putting.
Yeah.
But at least, I have to say, it's not a giant bird squawking, waking you up after falling asleep, like in Citizen Kane. if you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's this giant bird that screeches and scares the shit out of me every time.
Oh,
and,
no.
And there's no reason for it. The movie's silent before, not silent. The movie has quiet moments before and quiet moments after. And in the middle is just this bird, just like, it's the earliest jump scare ever in cinema. It's I don't like it. I swear it woke someone up that day when we watched it in school, because I'm sure somebody was sleeping.
Oh, yeah. Most likely. Absolutely. What do you think the significance of like it being the hottest day was? That they're like...
To increase the anger levels.
Yeah, they're like sweaty, and except for that one guy with glasses, he doesn't sweat until he gets put on the spot.
Then he sweats. I noticed you were rubbing your eye. You were rubbing your nose. Do you feel ill? No, I feel perfectly fine. Oh, I just wondered, that was all. I also love that they put the loudest one, juror number 3, next to the juror number 2, he's not the quiet guy, but
he's kind of just meek.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, he's like the meekest guy. He has some like really good lines in this too. And I was trying to think, there's one that he said, they have a conversation, just the two of them, and I can't remember what it was. All I can remember is when they're just trying to decide what the movie's called, and then he's like, I saw that one, it was called The Amazing Mrs. Bainbridge.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's like, looks like it's gonna rain, and then he's like, how'd you figure that, killer?
Yep, that part.
Oh yeah, because it starts raining.
Which is nice, because then the fan turns on, and then they're able to get a little cooler.
Yeah. That was like a big turning point.
Now, this is the big question I'm curious about. Since I first saw this years ago, I do not remember the answer. If you were in that room, and let's say you voted guilty at the beginning, what point would have given you reasonable doubt for you to change your vote? And why? And if you need to say one.
I'm trying to remember the points. So first it was like the knife, then it was the train going by. That one really turned me to not guilty.
I thought you were going in a different direction with that sentence, but okay. Sorry.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, yeah, if the train's going by, it's going to be so loud. Nobody's going to hear any screaming or yelling or body thudding or anything when they claim to have. But then again, I was the sales guy, or the advertisement guy at the end when the guy with the glasses who doesn't sweat, he goes, well, we have an eyewitness. And then the ad guy goes, okay, he's guilty. And that's where I was like, well, maybe they're all going to change their minds right here, right now. That's kind of what I was expecting. Actually, I was expecting Henry Fonda to be like, actually, I think he's guilty. And then to go all the way back to guilty.
Yeah, I wonder. Because they take a vote like right around then, and then he pauses, and then he's like not guilty, and then I'm like,
yeah, I know.
What if
I
he
was
had
like,
said
he's gonna say guilty. Yeah, that's what I thought was gonna happen. It was obvious that the antagonists of the group only voted guilty, so I basically, you have to side with the protagonist, basically.
Right, and that's why I prefaced it with,
like, yeah, if I was in that room, not watching this movie. Yeah, it would probably be that second point of the train going by. Then really, what's the
I think next is when they time, like with the diagram, and then they time him walking all across the floor.
Yeah, because some of the points weren't as strong. Like the old guy just made it up because he wanted attention. You have no idea what, like, his motive.
But that's why they have the old man, because he said he'd understand it better than anyone else in the room.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah. And like the knife thing, like they thought it was a super rare knife, but then Henry Fonda pulls out the same knife and they're all like, oh, I gasped at that point. I was like, oh.
I love that. That moment's so great. Like,
it's awesome.
I think the actual exchange is somewhere along the lines of like, you don't even think it's possible? No, it's not possible. Just stands up and just slams the knife down. Like, doesn't need to say anything. It's great.
It's awesome. And it's nice to have, like, that guy who was familiar with living in a slum. Mm-hmm. He knew the etiquette of switchblade knives and how to handle them, how to stab someone with them, because he's watched many knife fights before, and so he kind of ruled out if the defendant really knew how to handle a switchblade, he wouldn't have stabbed him like the eyewitness said from above. He would have stabbed him from underneath. So I think that was a really good point. When they
gave the argument about the eyeglasses and about and then that's when the guy with glasses said that's what convinced him. Like that. I really like that moment a lot.
Yeah, that was a good moment because he was like, he's not being rude about his decision or opinion at all.
Yeah.
He was just being like, no, I just believe what the eyewitness said, and then he realized, oh, well, she could have been not wearing her glasses when she saw it. But then then again, it's like, yes, what if she was wearing sunglasses? What if she's farsighted? And she could have seen the whole thing. So.
But it's possible.
There's a reasonable doubt. So that's the only thing you need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I wanted to know what you thought of the very end when the last guy, because they set it up before when they show his picture with his son and he mentions like how they haven't talked in a while. And then at the very end, they bring that back. So I wondered what you thought about that whole thing.
That was
his whole monologue.
Great ending. I really liked it. So the main antagonist, juror, number 3.
Yeah, number 3.
He goes off on him and they're trying to convince him he's not guilty. And he's like, no, he's guilty. Look at the facts. I've already explained my points. Then he sees the picture of him and his son that flies out of his little notebook. And he just breaks down and starts crying and rips up the picture because he just had all this pent up anger about his son not talking to him for 2 years. And then we realize that's where all of this is really stemming from, is that he wants to punish a child for doing something. Because at one point he said he wants to pull the switch on the electric chair for this kid. Mm-hmm. And so then we're like, oh my gosh, wow. But yeah, then we all realize it just is coming from deep within him for emotions for his son. So he was just a stubborn boy.
Yeah. I really love that moment too when Henry Fonda's like calling him out and then he says, I'll kill this guy, and then Henry Fonda's like, you really don't mean you'll kill me, do you? And then I'm like, yeah, dang, that's just it's so, the writing and the dialogue is great, but just those little moments are just so like powerful, little like bombs sprinkled throughout. Like there's that,
there were
and
bombs.
when he like drops the knife, and then there's the very end, and
the one time where juror number 3 is arguing, he's like, he's just an old man, he doesn't know what he's talking about, he could be seeing anything anytime, and then he's realized he just like ate his words, and
he's looking like right at the old guy, or the old guy's looking at him or something.
Well, he was talking about like the old guy under the apartment, the neighbor old guy, and then he was trying to argue that the old guy did see the defendant running down the stairs, did hear the body thud to the floor, but then in the heat of his argument, when they were talking about how long it takes him to get from his bedroom to the door, he's like, well, whatever, he doesn't know how long it took, he's an old man. And so yeah, then I like that part too. I was like, ha.
There's two moments where they kind of like, that stuck out to me anyway, when they like hold on the camera on certain characters. They hold like after he says it, like you just see his face and he's just like silent for a minute and he's just like, oh crap, like what did I just, like I shouldn't have said that. And then also when they're saying, like, when that one guy's like hey to the foreman, like, hey, you're just a kid, you shouldn't be doing this, and then the other guy's like, you're doing a good job, and then we just see his face for a while and just like how affected he was by it. Like I thought that was a really strong little moment too.
Yeah, they had a good use of emotional close-ups, which I think at that time in film we didn't really see a ton of. And like I really like the long dissolves in between the two or the three locations, I guess. The courtroom to the jury room, and then the jury room to outside the courthouse. I really like those long dissolves.
Yeah.
It was like a play. I'm sure people have put this on as a play because it would be a perfect play.
Yeah, definitely. It's very much like Breakfast Club in that way, except I don't know if it was written for like the theater, but it definitely, it's definitely been performed on theater before. There's also a movie called Glengarry Glen Ross, and that was a play first and then a movie, and it's very similar to this in a lot of ways. It has a lot of great actors in it. It's also a movie that kind of could have partly been inspired by this, because the entire second half of that movie is just the main characters all in like this one office room talking, and it's great. It's so riveting.
So this Wikipedia says it was broadcast initially as a television play in 1954. The following year, it was adapted for the stage, and then 1957 made into a film. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because on the Criterion Blu-ray, they have the 1954 version on here as a bonus feature.
Oh, nice.
Also, on the cover art, they have all 12... the picture is all 12 jurors, and then they're all tinted yellow, and then there's, like, red as the background squares, and then Henry Fonda's is tilted yellow, like, because he's the first one that says not guilty, so... His is like singled out, which is really cool. I've been wanting to own this movie for a long time, and I got it earlier this year because somebody was like, "Hey, somebody sent me a gift card, and I used it on Amazon to get this." So
nice.
Yeah.
Good addition.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite movies for sure. It's like I said, there's just so many little moments in it sprinkled throughout that are just so good. So I watched this movie yesterday because I didn't know if we were gonna watch it today. And then I watched it again today, and I was just as riveted as I was yesterday, even though I had just seen it and I knew exactly what was going to happen. Which
and
is
haven't
super
you seen
rare.
it more recently, too, like a few weeks ago?
Yeah. I saw it like a couple months ago, actually. So this year, I've watched this movie like probably at least 3 times, maybe 4 times.
Nice.
It's just a movie that I just always go back to. It's so well done.
Yeah, I watched it for free on YouTube. There were only a couple ads. So, well worth it. Obviously. Free. Worth it. Great movie. I would have paid to watch it. Maybe I'll pay for it next time.
To quote a friend of mine, free is my second favorite price. That's it. That's the quote.
What's the first favorite?
I don't know. I didn't ask him.
What? I think that's all my comments.
Yeah, that's all my comments too.
Very good movie. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm really glad you liked it because I figured you'd like it, but I wasn't sure to what the extent of it was, so I'm glad that you really liked it a lot.
I'm going to show everyone that movie.
Yeah, that's how I feel too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just one of those movies I just want to show everybody because I'm just like, it's so impactful and it's timeless and it's so applicable today and hopefully probably be applicable in like 20-30 years from now even, so.
Oh, for sure. So did you watch anything else this week?
I watched quite a bit. Did you watch anything?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you did? You have a long list too?
I'll probably forget everything, but...
Wait, don't you write it down?
No. I watched Sausage Party.
Okay.
Why? Why did I watch that movie? It's because my brother gave it to me on Blu-ray, and so I was like, I haven't watched this since I got it. I'm gonna give it another shot. Let's see what it's about. And it was absolutely horrendous. I mean, it's funny, but it's like the most immature movie. It's geared towards like 15-year-old boys, I think. Like, it's so stupid, but it is funny.
I've heard stories of this movie, but I have not seen it myself.
First of all, it messed me up because I work in Whole Foods now, and it's about a grocery store, and all of the foods come to life. It's basically like adult Toy Story, and like Toy Story already messed me up because I always think things are alive when they're not. And now I work at Whole Foods and all the food is alive. And then when I'm cooking, I'm cutting up things and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's screaming, it's dying.
Well, you have to eat to survive, so don't feel too bad.
I know, yeah, I've got to do something. So, yeah, it was just ridiculous. And then actually before that, I watched the other movie I got from Dollar Tree back in October called We'll Never Have Paris with Melanie Lynskey and that guy from Big Bang Theory. Mm-hmm. It was really good. I liked it. It was pretty cute. But yeah, it's about like a couple who breaks up and starts dating other people and how that works for them. So it was really cute. I liked it for $1. And I think it's actually on some streaming service too.
For $1.
Yeah. And Blu-ray for $1. So.
Wow, that's an amazing deal. Can you can you let me know what else this Dollar Tree has?
Yeah. I also watched we finished watching Iron Man 2 finally. I remember talking about that a long time ago. We had forgot we started it actually, so we kind of rewound it and started it again. That one was I didn't really like it.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people really like it from like the general consensus. I've always thought it was pretty good, but you know, to each their own. It has Scarlett Johansson, so it's not terrible.
That's true. Word. What else did we watch? We watched we just were on his watch list on Netflix, and The Death of Stalin was on there.
Ooh, that sounds intriguing.
And we watched that. It was good.
But
I did kind of fall asleep at the end. It was good because I wasn't really familiar with that piece in time of history where Stalin was in rule and then he died, and so we were kind of looking up the real truth history while we were watching, and it was kind of a satirical version of it, so it was entertaining and it was easy to digest and everything. So I would say, you know, like 6 out of 10, 5 out of 10.
That's still pretty low. Okay.
It's like good enough to watch, but I wouldn't like say it's like really, really good. I've wanted to watch The Happiest Season on Hulu, so I'm gonna watch that probably tomorrow.
Okay, sweet. I have no idea what the movie's about. I'm just curious to see what you think of it.
Great. Your turn.
Okay, so I did quite a bit of rewatching. First thing I rewatched was Kiki's Delivery Service, which is still really good. I haven't seen it because my friends and I went to go see it in the theater when they had like the Ghibli screening in like 2018 or I think it was. But it was really good. Classic standard Miyazaki, great movie. It kind of hit home a little bit too because I've been feeling kind of burnt out lately, and the movie deals with that. If you want a really good analysis of Kiki's Delivery Service, go watch Patrick Willem's video on it because it's great stuff.
Okay. Next
thing I watched, I was rewatching the first season of Sword Art Online, and I watched the second arc, which is called Fairy Dance. It's good. It's really good. The second half is really emotionally charged. So sitting down and watching it, like I broke it into half. I did like part 1, part 2, and part 2 is is very emotional. So good stuff. Good rewatch.
Okay.
Continuing my Rocky watch, I watched Creed, which is great. I got my copy of Creed 2 for Black Friday, but I haven't watched it yet. But yeah, I've seen it before, but I mean, you know, to rewatch it. Mm-hmm. And then the rest are new watches. I finished my Psycho watch, and I watched Psycho 4, which was directed by Mick Garris, who directed Sleepwalkers, and I think The Stand as well, the original Stand.
Okay.
So when you got the director of Sleepwalkers, you're gonna have something. And it was good. It was my third favorite of the series. So it goes 1, 2, 4, 3. Anthony Perkins was great as always, and the guy who plays Elliot in E.T. played the younger version of his character, and they look quite a bit alike, so it was really cool. And I thought the movie was good. You know, was it necessary? No, but was it good? Yeah. Better than Psycho 3. Then I'd heard of this movie. This might take a little bit of explaining. So I told you I had a lot, The Fast and the Furious movies. I spent like a week of my life watching all of them in a row, like 1 to 8. And then there's a movie, the character of Han in those movies. He was in another Justin Lin movie. Justin Lin directed most of the Fast and Furious movies. There's another movie he made called Better Luck Tomorrow, which is the first time he had the character Han in a movie. So it's kind of connected. That's like his origin story. And I had not seen it, and I had my Stars trial left over from Psycho 4, so I watched Better Luck Tomorrow, and it was good. It was really good, actually. So now I've seen every Fast and Furious connected movie except for Hobbs and Shaw, which I have not watched yet. But I have seen Point Break, which is like Fast and Furious 0.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because the first movie is just Point Break with cars. Like it's like the same plot and everything.
Oh, okay.
They don't really become heist films until part 5. But anyway, then I saw Maltese Falcon, which I had never seen before.
Oh.
It was good. Humphrey Bogart, classic movie. It was on TCM. So Maddie, let me ask you a question. And this is not going this isn't going where you automatically think. So bear with me. Have you heard of the Star Wars holiday special?
No.
Oh boy, here we go. So quick version. In 1978, so the only Star Wars movie that was out at the time was the original one, Star Wars, later called Episode 4. That was the only one that was out. The following year, they put out a holiday special, aired on one of the local networks, and it's notorious for getting extremely negative reception, has nothing to do with Star Wars. It's basically a weird 70s variety sketch show, and then the actors from Star Wars show up at random. So, like, they had the actual actors, like Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, everybody. But it's really, really, really bad, and it's, like, notorious in the Star Wars fan community. There's literally, like, a Jefferson Starship music video. There's a VR porn scene. There's weird psychedelic effects. There's Wookiees talking without subtitles for 20 minutes. It's terrible.
Oh, my gosh.
So, this year, they put out a sequel, kind of, called the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special, and it takes place after Episode 9. And despite my feelings on Rise of Skywalker, I watched the Lego Star Wars Special, and it was good.
Oh my gosh.
The lightsaber fight was really good. It's just a fun time, it's nothing like deep or serious. It couldn't fill the hole that I feel now for Star Wars, but it put a little bit in there. So it's like a teaspoon good. In there. In like the what's a big size like a pint size or a cup size hole. It put a little teaspoon in there. So and then
that's something.
Mm-hmm. So my cousin and I watched that, and then so it takes place after Episode 9. So it's kind of like it celebrates Star Wars more than Episode 9 does, and it has time travel, so it's kind of like Endgame a little bit.
Oh my goodness.
But anyway, so then after that, I'd seen bits and pieces, but I'd never seen the holiday special, the original holiday special in full. So my cousin and I watched the Lego one, and then later that night we watched the original holiday special. There's no words to describe what a monstrosity it is, and how amazingly weird and terrible it is.
How long is it?
It's an hour and a half.
Okay.
So it's a full-length movie, but believe me, 90% of it could be cut out.
Oh my god.
Also, it's weird. It's so weird. Just like look up like random clips, and you'll see what I mean. It has nothing to do with Star Wars. Yeah, so now I've seen the holiday special, and I will never be the same again. It changed me in a very similar way that Sleepwalkers changed me, except instead of it transcending my life, it just transcended my mind for like an hour and a half, and then now I'm just here being like, what have I seen? I have now seen everything. Nothing will surprise me anymore.
Oh no.
So that was a really fun little stupid thing. But yeah, the Lego one was actually pretty good. Little teaspoon of goodness there.
Good. I love Lego Star Wars.
Yeah, I do too. I still have one of the games. I remember playing the games all the time as a kid. So they're really fun. But yeah, rarity. Jake's talking about Star Wars again. That's kind of rare. I swore off the stuff for good, and then I'm still swearing off it for good, except for this little glimpse. Right? So yeah, I'm done. Let's talk about something else.
Do you know what this movie's rated?
This movie?
It doesn't say anything on IMDb. It says it's approved.
It'd probably be like G or PG today, so.
Yeah. So that's all you watched?
What do you mean that's all I watched? I listed like 10 things.
So that's it? That's all you had time for this week, Jake?
I've done nothing but be bored out of my mind, so yes. That's all I watched this week.
For sure. What should we watch next week?
Next week, we will be watching Ghost, starring Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore, which I have never seen. So go home and watch Ghost, and then come back. We're going to go watch Ghost right now, so we'll see you later.
Yes, we are. Bye.